The strongest argument I've got in favor of monogamy is this. If you got 2 or 3 wives, you are going to get so sick and tired of NBA Jam. I mean, what do you got? 4-player games, 4-player cooperative games. What do you really got? Micro Machines on the Sega Genesis with those extra controller ports on the top of the cartridge? No. Don't tell me. I have some very highly educated people in my eyes. Don't write into me saying that there were a lot of great 4-player games on the TurboGrafx 16. No, there aren't. No, they aren't. There are YouTube channels saying that there were great 4-player games for TurboGrafx 16, especially the CD-ROM games, because nobody's played them. They're terrible. Every single one of them is terrible. You are going to spend the rest of your life with NBA Jam, NBA Hang Time. Maybe you're going to get that full-size arcade cabinet for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know, Teenage Mutant Ninja, the arcade game. You're going to be so sick of that music. And by the time you and your 3 wives are sick of playing it, you're going to have kids. And then it's going to be, oh my God, can we just get through to halftime of this game of NBA Jam? It's going to...
Oh. Yo, yeah? Yeah, you fucking filthy bitch. Take that. Here. Take one of those. Out of here. Oh! Yeah! Come on!
One of the strongest arguments for monogamy is that really, it's kind of 2 players or nothing. The world of video games. And I mean that. Okay? I mean that. If you bought this device I have visible in the background to play 1-player games alone as an adult, to me that's just the saddest thing imaginable. Because all of these games, like all video games, if you are a fully grown, mentally mature adult, dude, it's like 5 minutes maximum. How long can you possibly, as an adult, play Neo Geo Super Dodgeball alone?
Oh! So you get for talking crap.
How long can you play Neo Geo Baseball 2020? I forget. Was that game? Was it 2080? Does the baseball game set in the future? Well, is that 5 minutes of entertainment for an adult? These were arcade games. These were games designed to be played standing up. 5 minutes of entertainment maximum, and then you get on with your life. And of course, this is the big advantage in the year 2020 if you are interested in getting back into Neo Geo games. And almost every single game on the system is 2-player simultaneous. Some of them cooperative, some of them competitive. That's the appeal. That's what it is. Okay. What led up to me making this momentous decision to buy SNK Neo Geo Arcade Stick Pro that I never intend to play for more than 5 minutes at a time, but that I do play. I do play with my significant other, with my girlfriend. Okay. It was the way this whole thing with Intellivision fell apart. It was when I totally lost faith in the Intellivision project. Now, if you guys don't know, I made some YouTube videos a little bit optimistic about this Intellivision thing. I then made a YouTube video saying, I think this is complete garbage. I've completely lost faith in the project. I think it's going to be terrible. And then Tommy Tallarico himself gets in touch with me. He talks to me for over an hour. We do this interview. Great guy. Wonderful human being. Would definitely be a better president of the United States than Donald Trump. But when you buy in Intellivision, you are not placing your vote to replace Donald Trump. You're buying piece of consumer electronics. And like, I could break it down. Each and every justification for why I was interested in the Intellivision fell apart during the year 2020. It could have been that the 2020 was the year of the Intellivision, and it's not. It's not for me. It's not for anybody. But like, the rationale for why I seriously thought, money's tight around here, really. Really. If you guys don't know, I put up an Amazon wish list for books because I was sitting there thinking, another $30 for a book about ancient Chinese philosophy. And I want to say this also. Even if you play these games for 5 minutes, it will inspire you to reflect on how much more meaningful those books are that you could be reading than this game you're playing. I think my catchphrase when I play video games now is, this feels like a job I'm not being paid to do. I say that all the time. It's entertainment, but it's entertainment that's somehow so vacuous, so meaningless, that it'll cause you to really reflect on, what is meaningful in your life.
Here we go. Come here. I look at every one of these like they're my wife. Come here with your lazy eyes. There you go. Here, take this right in your fucking bread basket, you animal.
Okay, so I was interested in the Intellivision, and I could set out all these reasons why. I was interested because I have a daughter whom I now never get to see, and I'm employing lawyers and all this crap, and maybe eventually I get another story. I have a daughter. Intellivision said it was going to be fun for the whole family, cooperative, multiplayer, casual play. I guess it reflects the same themes. You see here? Like, this is not going to be a system for 400-hour-long immersive RPG experiences. It's not going to be massively multiplayer, online, monetized transaction-based experience. No, there were a whole bunch of things they said no. They're going to return to couch co-op. In a sense, that's like the implicit theme of this video. And then there were also these promises about getting back to actually educational software. There were these different things. We think, okay, you know what? I can start planning for this. I can put aside the money to actually buy this thing, the Intellivision, that Tommy Tallarico is proposing. And when that fell apart, I just sat there and thought about it. And it's like, you know what? I don't know if I'm ever going to see my daughter again. Or maybe the next time I see her, she's going to be like 16 years old and would completely sneer at the idea of playing Kirby's Epic Yarn with me. Good example of a cooperative two-player game you can play. But, that's more like for 6 years old, not 16 years old. It may just be we missed the window of opportunity to play video games. That's okay. All right. So that's you know what? When you really think about it, in the whole history of video games, what would I want to play with my girlfriend? What is it? Not even necessarily nostalgia. Not even stuff I played from, including stuff I never played. And there was this one window of opportunity in the history of video games with the Neo Geo where people were putting a lot of time and effort into making really high quality games that were only meant to be played for 5 minutes, and like almost every single one of them is two-player, as mentioned. Okay, if you got 3 wives, I know I have some Mormons who are long time. If you got 3, it's not for you. It's not going to work out. There's no way you can daisy chain together 4 Neo Geo arcade sticks and make it work. It's 2-player or nothing. And if you're a lonely dude, if you live alone, don't do this. Absolutely none of it is worth playing one player, like not even for 5 minutes. And again, even like pretty much any given time, there's a burden of books I should be reading and projects better things I should be doing that. And 5 minutes, 15 minutes, you really start thinking about what it is you could be doing with your. If you're playing alone, that's probably to it. But.
Okay, we got a note here, right off the bat. So here it is, the stuff of legends, the video game console that every kid our age lusted after. Are you with me here? And every kid our age is like, I'm 43. I'll say, okay, do you know yet? I bet you do. I can't think of anyone who deserves it more After the road you've traveled, enjoy it. Oh, baby! Are you kidding me?
When I came to like the end of my rope with the Intellivision thing, I realized, you know what? I missed my chance to buy the Neo Geo hardware the last time this happened. And no, I don't mean 1991. I mean when there was this short-term opportunity to buy what was called the Neo Geo X. Some people call it the Neo Geo X Gold. All right. There was a revival of the Neo Geo. It wasn't perfect. A lot of YouTube channels criticized the hell out of it, but they brought out the old-fashioned solid black joystick, and they brought out an emulator system, and you could buy the old games. There was this window of opportunity to buy a revived Neo Geo, and I missed it. Right today, if you want that, it's either impossible to buy, or you're going to have to buy it from some collector on eBay and pay for it. So you know what? As it happens, at this moment, when I've lost all faith in the possibility of buying an Intellivision, I just think this is garbage. Tommy Tallarico, wonderful guy, and you know whatever. Some of the music he's made, I got respect for too. Wonderful guy. Terrible business plan, terrible console, doomed project, the Intellivision. And it's like, and then I'm looking, it's like, you know what? I actually have this brief opportunity right now to buy this Neo Geo revival that's going to buy into this, you know. And if I don't do it now, just like the Neo Geo X before, it's going to disappear. And you could already see the prices going up and up. So this is telling. So the first step I took was this. I bought this thing. And I bought it in the package where you get 2 plug-in controllers so you can play 2-player simultaneous. All right? And this thing, at that time, even on Amazon, you saw the price going up and up and up. Like within like a week. All right? It's like, how is it possible for something to go from like new to like scarce collector's item within like 2 years of the project being launched? It's great. And you know, if you look this up on eBay, people are paying tons of money, you know, for these things. And like, man, you can probably just tell from the weight. I mean, there's no intrinsic value in this. All the components could go into a cell phone, right? It's like a cell phone. I'm not saying the screen is bad. It's a beautiful screen, tiny, but like, you know, this is what this is. It's like a cell phone reformatted to be this simulated arcade cabinet. Right? So that was the first step. And what you realize as soon as you have bought this thing, right? No matter how great the games are, no matter how much it reminds you of the legacy of the Neo Geo and whatever, maybe it brings back memories for you of being like an 11-year-old kid in a pizza restaurant and seeing Samurai Showdown for the first time. You know, it may evoke, for a lot of people in my generation, it evokes all kinds of memories. And for pretty much everyone, these were not the games you owned. They were the games you could never possibly own. It was unattainable, but you could glimpse them in a pizza restaurant. If you read video game magazines at that time, video game magazines raving about them, and all kinds of them, they probably weren't available in your town, or you saw them once when you were in New York City, you saw them when you were on vacation somewhere, right? It's very rare for something to be so mainstream and so tawdry, and yet to have this mystique, right? And that's exactly what Neo Geo had. It also had a mystique because so much of it was just incomprehensible. It's in broken English. It doesn't make any sense. They all seem to have like a rough idea of what the plot should be. This is also the main source of entertainment, is sitting there and ridiculing these games. But you know, probably the original Japanese barely made sense. And, when he crosses the ocean and crosses the language barrier. All right, but that too, if you were an 8-year-old kid, if you were a 12-year-old kid, whatever age, when you were in Canada, this drew you in. This game, it's trying to speak to me. It's trying to tell me a story, but I don't know what the hell it is. Right? There was something there. And for all of us, I mean, all these games in the arcade, I only played them for 5 minutes. I never saw level 2 of the Sly Spy. Never. As a kid, never. Are you joking? I probably never got to the 3rd enemy in Samurai Shodown. I was a child. A child's skill level. No. Okay, but this is not about the software. Right? As soon as you've bought into this thing, what you're going to realize is that the controls are a joke. This actual joystick is a joke. Most of the games this system is famous for, and of course you also get the joy of discovering all kinds of games that are not famous, that you never heard of before. You get to discover the whole Neo Geo library, right? You're going to realize, I need a $200 joystick to play these games. And that was the fucking genius of this. It's terrible. It's a total failure, right? But like, if you can buy this for $50, then you realize what I need to do, the really responsible choice I need to make is going to cost me like $200, right? And you don't just need one of these. No. Well, you're not going to play these games alone. You in your Mormon compound with your 3 wives and your 6 kids who were all named Caleb. You're not going to play this alone. No. You're going to buy 2. All right? In a sense, the fatal flaw is that 2 is the limit, because Caleb, they're going to have to learn to share, right? They're going to need to learn to take turns. It's tragic. This sharing. Sharing is what Mormonism is all about. Okay? So what you realize is that for this library of games, whether you play alone or with a special friend, what it requires, what's missing from your experience is this. Just lean into your speakers right here. You hear that? That's steel. Steel. Don't you guys have a saying in Detroit? Like, a car is only as good as its crankshaft? No? No? All right.
Oh my God, look at this. It's the stuff of legend. You want to fucking listen to that, you animals. If you would have grabbed me by my orange mullet back in 1992, while I was sitting there and staring at this console, staring at it on the wall and just drooling like this. Just staring. It was impossible. Do you understand? It was impossible. It was a $749 gaming console, and the games were $250 plus.
You have to admit to yourself, there's no way really for you to appreciate or play these games without hundreds of dollars worth of joystick. I mean, there's no limit. Now, if you look around and if you know where to look on the internet today, you can legitimately buy these for, I think, less than $100 each. But most of you are going to find them for more already. You're going to find them for way more on eBay, on resale. It's amazing. Already, it's gone from mainstream to like collector's item, even though they're still making them. They're still available new. You're going to find them. So you may be paying $200. You may be paying $100. But if you're buying 2 of them, then if you get into modifying and upgrading the components. Okay. So this is a review of more than one thing in this video, right? We're reviewing the concept of video games you could conceivably play if you are not the kind of person who plays video games. It's already a little bit interesting, right? It's a question of video games you could play with your kid if you've got kids. It's a question of video games you could play with your wife, husband, whatever. These are something, right? And then for me, there's this sense that 2020 could have been the year of the Intellivision Amico. And it's not. For me, it's the year of rediscovering the Neo Geo. But I think there really is something special produced by this brief period of time when people were making games, not trying to keep you captivated at a cell phone for hours so that you'll click to buy a loot box, right? So that you'll pay money to get an upgrade. Like today, this is how games are designed. Not even games that are designed like, you remember Final Fantasy for the original PlayStation, where like the value for money was getting you to do the same repetitive action again and again for hours? One of the things that struck me most about playing these games now in 2020, I could never hear the music before. Like I only ever encountered these games in a pizza restaurant when I was like 11 years old. And you realize, wow, the music was incredible. And the music, it's meant to be captivating and draw you in and entertain you for 5 minutes maximum. Just like the graphics, just like the gameplay. You want depth? There's no depth. None. There's a refreshing absence of depth. But you can just feel all of the creative energy of this whole team of artists sitting there in Japan. All these guys, you can tell, that went to art school, pouring their heart and soul into trying to make that 5 minutes for you worth the 25 cents you put in the machine. All right? Sengoku 1, 2, and 3. Insanity. Complete insanity. I would nominate Sengoku as like the greatest Buddhist video game of all time, right? It's just a mashup of completely surreal hell imagery, demon imagery, reincarnation imagery from, Japanese Shinto mythology and Buddhism, Buddhist miscellany, right? There's no plot. I think part of the fun of playing Sengoku is that you can make up the plot as you go along, right? This totally stimulating, totally empty experience, right? And then it's over. And you push the button and something happens on screen, and pretty soon you're thinking, wasn't I supposed to be reading something? Don't I, and that's good. That's good. For years, psychiatrists tried to design different drugs that would create like an aversion to alcohol, where you could have 1 drink or 2 drinks, then you wouldn't want to, so that alcoholics could wean themselves off. I've actually heard mixed reviews that some of those treatments actually work. Can you medicate alcoholism away? Well, maybe you can and maybe you can't. I've got to tell you, on the one hand, human beings are capable of becoming addicted to simple deck of playing cards. People get addicted to solitaire. People get addicted to huffing glue and eating shoe polish, all these terrible things. Could it be that in this brief period when the Neo Geo was at its peak, at its pinnacle, the strange artistry, could it be that was a period when video games were just in this one format, the stand-up arcade cabinet, when it was actually something kind of harmless that 2 people could do for 5 minutes and then get on with it? Maybe, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not going to get fan mail from a whole bunch of you about how you got addicted to King of Monsters 2 on the Neo Geo arcade stick, and you dropped out of college and you lost your job and your wife left you and you ruined your life. Maybe. I think the case that was there for the Intellivision Amico, for me, was interesting because it was really a case being made against everything that's wrong with video games in the 21st century, right? It's insane. It's a terrible marketing strategy. But like Tommy Tallarico was arguing, this, and this is bad and wrong and terrible about the video game industry in 2020, and now he's going to come out with something that in all those ways is the antidote. He's going to come out with something which is fun for the whole family, co-op, multiplayer, couch gameplay. Again, so multiplayer here meaning like 2 people, maybe 3 or 4, sitting in one place at one time, looking at a screen together, as opposed to, having a living room where that person's over there on their cell phone and that person's over there on a tablet, and they could all be playing video games. Someone else has a laptop computer and someone else has a console like the Nintendo Switch. Like, where video games don't have to be this mutually isolating and deeply engrossing experience, that can instead be something that, for a short time brings people. Where it's, put it this way, where video games are something more like board games, right? That was what Tommy Tallarico pitched. And, then for me, there was this tantalizing possibility of educational software. And by this strange coincidence, I had to pause and reflect that, what? Most of the things I would be hoping for in the Intellivision Amico, they're actually already here. They're already available here and now in the legacy of the Neo Geo. Very little educational value. But if you are learning either Chinese or Japanese, read carefully the text. You can actually practice Chinese or Japanese while playing these games, if you're highly motivated enough to read carefully.
Yes! Sega Master System doing it! Big time!
Okay, look. When I was a kid, computers were something that existed in one room of the house for 1 hour a day. And video games were something that existed in one room of the house for 1 hour of the day. And we all know the reality in 2020. Video games have taken over the whole house, and computer entertainment, computer distractions, computer communications, computer productivity have taken over 24 hours a day. And this has happened in large part through the cellular phone, bringing the computer, bringing the video, bringing all these applications, putting it in your pocket and putting it in front of your face. I heard an anecdote of a guy on YouTube today. He was talking about going to Hooters. So he goes to Hooters, and they're these, half-naked women, these sexy women in these costumes. Nobody's looking at them. He said, there were 8 guys. They're all drinking whiskey and staring at their phones. They're doing, and they could be doing something important on their phone. So they're not. They could be negotiating with a divorce lawyer over the phone. I don't know, right? They could be learning Chinese on their phones. I got a Chinese learning app. If you see me at the gym staring at my phone, I promise I'm studying Chinese. I used to do that. Okay, come on, buddy. You get off the machine. You done doing Chinese level 3 verbs here? Come on. I'm not going to say to you that you can't be hardworking 24 hours a day. I'm not going to say to you can't read books 24 hours a day. You can. Nobody needs to take a break. You don't need to take a break from reading to play. You don't. I'm not going to say to you, have a balanced lifestyle. Don't. Be passionate. Be focused. Try to accomplish things you can accomplish. Reality is, if I'm over in the corner reading a book, and my girlfriend is over in the other corner reading another book, we're together, but in a sense, each of us is alone. I think there's a function for video games in our lives. Whether it's me with my daughter, or me with my girlfriend, I think there's a function for short periods of time of bringing people together just to sit together and play, where video games can be something not so different from playing a board game together. I didn't live through Monopoly, leaving that one room in the house and that 1 hour and taking over our lives. I didn't live through a generation where poker or pinochle or Ludo, came out of the one room of the house and took over. That's not what I lived through, right? I was the generation. I saw 8-bit go to 16-bit, go to 32-bit, and I saw it ruin everyone's lives around me, okay? I saw so many guys in the university, they learned nothing the whole time in the university. And video games, it really was the main reason, That's what I've lived through. That's what I've seen. I can't tell you video games are a positive thing in the world, or they're a positive thing in your life. They're not. Right? But I ask the question, if you want to have some limited role for video games in your life, in your family, in your playtime with your kid, maybe we can't look to something new like the Intellivision. Maybe we've got to look at something old, what we can do with retro gaming, what we can do with things like right now, the revival of the Neo Geo system.